The storm outside rattled the windows of the mansion as thunder rolled across the dark sky. Inside, in the cold, dim basement, a young pregnant woman clutched her stomach as another wave of pain spread through her body. Her name was Elena, and she was in labor. But instead of being in a warm hospital room, surrounded by nurses and kind hands, she was locked inside a small metal cage. The iron bars were cold against her back, and the concrete floor beneath her was damp and unforgiving. Upstairs, her husband Victor paced nervously in the living room, sipping expensive whiskey. To the world, he was a respected businessman, elegant, powerful, successful. But behind the walls of his mansion, he was cruel and heartless. Victor never loved Elena. He married her only because he believed her family was wealthy. When her father died, Victor discovered the truth. Her family had lost their fortune years ago. They were drowning in debt. From that day, his affection turned into cold hatred. "You're useless," he would often say. "You tricked me into this marriage." But Elena never tricked him. She truly loved him. She thought he loved her too. When she became pregnant, she believed things would change. She believed the baby would soften his heart. Instead, it made him angrier. "I don't want another mouth to feed," Victor had shouted weeks ago. "And I refuse to waste money on hospitals." When her labor pains began that night, she begged him to take her to the hospital. "Please, Victor," she cried. "The baby is coming. I'm scared." But Victor's eyes were cold. "You'll stay down there," he said, pointing to the basement. "You'll give birth like the poor woman you are." Before she could protest, he dragged her downstairs and locked her inside the cage he once used for his hunting dogs. Now, alone in the darkness, Elena's tears mixed with sweat as another contraction hit her. "Please, someone help me," she whispered. But no one came. She thought about her childhood, about her older brother Daniel. He was her protector, her hero. When their parents died, he joined the military to support her. Before leaving, he promised, "No matter what happens, Elena, I will always protect you." She hadn't seen him in years. He was often deployed overseas. She didn't even know where he was now. Another sharp pain shot through her body, making her scream. Upstairs, Victor turned up the television to drown out her cries. But far away, on a military base, a phone began to ring. Daniel, now a decorated officer, picked it up. It was a neighbor from Elena Street. "Sir, I didn't know who else to call," the old woman said. "Your sister. Something is wrong. I heard her screaming, and her husband hasn't called a doctor." Daniel's heart stopped. "What do you mean screaming?" he asked, his voice tightening. "She's in labor, I think. But the house is locked. I knocked, but no one answered." Daniel didn't wait another second. "I'm coming," he said. Within minutes, he was in his uniform, grabbing. The storm grew heavier as Daniel's car sped down the dark highway. Rain slammed against the windshield, but he didn't slow down. His mind was filled with memories of Elena. She used to follow him everywhere when they were children. When bullies pushed her, he stood in front of her. When she cried, he wiped her tears. When their parents died in a tragic accident, he became her entire world. He worked multiple jobs to pay for her education before joining the military. Every sacrifice he made was for her. And now, the thought of her suffering alone made his chest burn with rage. What kind of man would let his pregnant wife scream for help? He muttered. After an hour of driving, he finally reached Victor's mansion. The gates were locked. The lights were on inside, but the house felt cold and silent. Daniel pressed the doorbell. No answer. He knocked hard. Still nothing. But then, faintly, he heard it. A cry. A weak, desperate cry from inside the house. "Elena!" He shouted. "It's me. Daniel." There was no response, only another painful scream. His anger exploded. Without hesitation, he stepped back and kicked the door with full force. Once. Twice. On the third kick, the door burst open. Inside, Victor stood near the staircase, holding a glass of whiskey. "What do you think you're doing?" Victor demanded. Daniel's eyes were like fire. "Where is my sister?" Victor scoffed. "She's fine. just being dramatic. Another scream echoed from the basement. Daniel didn't wait. He pushed past Victor and ran toward the sound. Victor grabbed his arm. "You don't go anywhere without my permission." Daniel turned slowly. His voice was low and deadly. "Take your hand off me." Victor smirked. "Or what?" Before he could finish, Daniel grabbed his collar and slammed him against the wall. "If anything happens to her," Daniel said, his voice trembling with fury, "you will pray for mercy." He threw Victor aside and rushed down the basement stairs. When he reached the bottom, his heart shattered. There, in the dim light, he saw Elena, curled inside a metal cage, pale, sweating, crying. Her hands gripping her belly as she fought. Through another contraction. "Daniel." She whispered weakly. His eyes filled with tears. "Elena, oh God, what did he do to you?" He rushed to the cage, pulling at the lock. "Where's the key?" he shouted. Victor stood at the top of the stairs, silent. Daniel's patience snapped. He grabbed a heavy toolbox nearby and smashed the lock. Once, twice. On the third strike, the lock broke. He opened the cage and carefully lifted Elena into his arms. "It's okay," he whispered. "Your brother's here. I've got you." She clung to him, crying. "I was so scared." "You're safe now," he said. "I promise." Another contraction hit, and she screamed. Daniel rushed upstairs, carrying her like she weighed nothing. He turned to Victor, his voice cold. "If you ever come near her again, I will make sure you regret it for the rest of your life." Then he walked out into the storm. Rain poured heavily as Daniel laid Elena gently in the back seat of his car. Her breathing was fast and uneven, and her hands trembled as she gripped his arm. "Daniel, I don't think we'll make it," she cried. "You will," he said firmly. "Just hold on. We are almost there." He jumped into the driver's seat and started the engine. The tires screeched as he sped toward the nearest hospital. Inside the car, Elena screamed as another contraction came. Daniel reached back, holding her hand. "Look at me," he said. "Remember when you were little and scared of thunderstorms?" She nodded weakly. "What did I tell you?" "You said, 'Storms always pass,'" she whispered. "That's right," he said. "And this storm will pass too. You just have to be strong." Tears streamed down her face. "I thought I was going to die down there." Daniel's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there sooner." "It's not your fault," she said. "You always protected me." He swallowed hard, his eyes burning. "And I always will." The hospital lights finally appeared in the distance. Daniel parked right at the entrance and rushed inside, shouting, "My sister is in labor. She needs help now." Within seconds, nurses rushed out with a stretcher. They carefully lifted Elena and wheeled her inside. Daniel followed, his heart pounding. A doctor approached him. "Are you the husband?" She asked. "No," Daniel said. "I'm her brother." "Then you'll need to wait outside the delivery room." He nodded, though every part of him wanted to stay. As the doors closed, he whispered, "Be strong, Elena." Hours felt like years as Daniel sat outside the delivery room. His hands were clasped together, and his head was bowed. Every scream from inside pierced his heart. Finally, the doors opened. A nurse stepped out, smiling. "Congratulations," she said. "It's a healthy baby girl." Daniel's eyes widened. "Is my sister okay?" "She's exhausted, but she's fine." Relief flooded his body. He stepped into the room and saw Elena lying in bed, pale but smiling. In her arms was a tiny baby wrapped in a pink blanket. "Daniel," she whispered. He walked closer, his eyes softening. "She's beautiful," he said. Elena smiled weakly. "I want to name her Hope." Daniel nodded. "It suits her." He gently touched the baby's tiny hand. "She'll never suffer like you did," he said. "I swear it." Tears rolled down Elena's cheeks. "I don't know what I'd do without you." He leaned down and kissed her forehead. "You'll never have to find out." Weeks later, Elena and baby Hope were living in Daniel's small but warm home near the military base. It wasn't a mansion. It wasn't luxurious. But it was full of love. Daniel had set up a small nursery in the corner of the living room. Every night, he would gently rock Hope to sleep. One evening, Elena watched him from the doorway. "You're going to spoil her," she said with a soft laugh. Daniel smiled. "She deserves the world." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "For the first time in a long time, I feel safe." Daniel looked at her seriously. "You are safe, and you always will be." A knock came at the door. Daniel opened it to find a delivery man holding an envelope. Inside was a letter from Victor's lawyer. Daniel read it, then handed it to Elena. "What is it?" she asked. "He's signing the divorce papers," Daniel said, "and he's been charged with domestic abuse." Elena closed her eyes, letting out a deep breath. "It's finally over." Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. "No," he said softly. "It's just the beginning." Hope began to cry, and Elena picked her up, rocking her gently. "Sure. Mommy's here," she whispered. Daniel watched them, his heart full. The storm in their lives had passed, and in its place, a new sunrise had begun.